Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the video. This video is not going to be about working on the fiberglass one-piece front end. That's going to be a different video. This video is going to be an update video on Ratchet, and I promise you this will be the last update video that Ratchet gets before I finally get him to the off-road park. So there's 4 things that I've done to Ratchet to get him ready to be driven at the off-road park. And I'm going to show you those in the order of magnitude. Number 1 being the least exciting. So as I was building Ratchet, I was kind of building him like, hey, he's not street legal, so I don't have to worry about anything that I would normally have to worry about on a street legal vehicle. And although that is true, now that I've driven him around my neighborhood a little bit, just kind of getting some of the bugs out, I've realized that even though he's not street legal, I don't want him to be a death trap for me or somebody else. So I decided I do need some brake lights and some turn signals, just so that, well, if I'm driving around the neighborhoods a little bit, you know, people know if I'm hitting the brakes. Or if it's a little bit darker out, I'll have some tail lights. Or if I'm turning, I can signal them with some turn signals. And also, when I'm at the off-road park, you know, it only makes sense that if I'm hitting the brakes, I should have some brake lights, just so that if somebody behind me, I don't know why I thought it didn't need any brake lights at all. I don't know what I was thinking with that. So I added some brake lights, and these have integrated turn signals, and they have tail lights. Let me go turn on the tail lights. All right, so you can see when you just turn on power, this isn't ignition, but when you just turn on power for accessories, which would be on, that would be turned on anytime I was driving Ratchet. He'll have tail lights, and then it's got integrated turn signals. Oh, look at that. There's a little piece missing out of there. That's new. Ah, that's frustrating. Anyways, so, you know, wherever I am, I now at least I have turn signals so that I can give somebody behind me. There's nothing up front yet. There might be, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But this, you know, will give somebody an idea of what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go hit the brakes as well. It's got brake lights that are operated off of a pressure switch on the hydraulic lines. So, you know, it's got brake lights now. Not real exciting, but I think it's something that it needed. Dang dogs are getting ready to wrestle right next to the fiberglass. These guys. Hey, easy. All right, I gotta go break this up. So another revelation I had while I was driving around a neighborhood is that I really can't see anything that's directly behind me. So as I would be sitting here looking out the front window, I do have my side mirror here, and I've got my side mirror over there. And yeah, those you can use to see if there's a car behind you, coming up on you, for the most part, but you can't see anything directly behind you. So I picked up a dash cam, and what this is exactly is, it's made by Asdome, not exactly sure how to pronounce that. They call it the Streaming Media Mirror Dash Cam, and it's the PG18S. And what it is actually, what you're supposed to do is it's got these rubber bands that are meant to clip over an existing rear view mirror. So this is meant to actually be installed in a car that already has a rear view mirror. You clamp this over it, and then you install this camera in the back, and this one here is just zip tied up here. I'm kind of experimenting with its location. I think I'm pretty happy with this location, and if I decide to go with this, I'm going to create a little metal pan that will come down and protect it, and then it'll have a little pad that it bolts to. So I have this set up so that when I hit this power button, it lights up. When I hit this power button on Ratchet, this just gives power to any and all accessories that I have in here. It doesn't have anything to do with the fuel injection. It's just for accessories like this. But what this thing does is, remembering it's meant to record video, so when you turn it on, when I just turned it on, it's already recording. It defaults to recording. It's got the camera in the back, which we're looking at right now. This is the camera in the front. There's a camera right in front of it here, which records facing forward. And you can split those, so this is facing forward, this is facing rear. And it records, and there's an SD card in here that I can pull out. And what I liked about that is that means that I can use this for video, like if I'm at the off-road park or something, I can record what's behind me, what's in front of me, and then if I want to, I can use some of that for my videos. So I thought that was a nice little perk. It also has a GPS sensor, so it will record your GPS position. Again, the whole purpose of that is so that if you were like in your daily driver and you got in an accident or something, it'll give you all of that information that you could use in court. I don't need stuff like that, but it's kind of cool to have on there. It has a really wide angle of view. You can even adjust it. Now this isn't moving the camera at all, it's just taking different portions of the camera feed. So you can see now it's looking up. Now it's looking so far down I can see my radiator and the radiator fans, which is kind of cool. I haven't completely decided where I'm going to put it. I've been experimenting with it down like this because this is completely out of my field of view when I'm driving, and it's so big and it's such a wide angle that as I'm driving here, it just, if anything pops in there, you just kind of see it out of your peripheral. You don't even really have to look for it. The only downside to this location is this blocks the forward camera because at this point it's down too low. I'm not sure how interested I am in having the forward camera, so that might not be a deal breaker for me because I do like the fact that I can sit it down nice and low. And again, if I'm just using it for the rear, it doesn't really matter. So for the price point, I'll put a link in the description in case you guys are interested. It's really not all that expensive. It does have a lot of features that I won't be using. There's a lot of different things that you can set up on it. You can set up loop recording. You can look at the GPS. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. There's GPS info. I'm not going to give, it gives the latitude and longitude, but I don't want to give you my exact location. But it shows you your satellite strengths and all that stuff. There's actually quite a bit of stuff you can tinker around with on it, but what I'm using it for is the rear view camera, and it's really working out well for that because it's really wide. You can see it's looking all the way from my toolbox all the way to the shelf, so it's really wide angle. So when I'm driving around, and I'll throw some video up here of me driving around with it a little bit, you really have a good idea of everything that's going on behind you, and honestly, that's mainly what I was looking for. All right, now we're on number 3. They're getting a little bit more exciting. If you guys remember, a couple videos back, I was working on my throttle body, and it had a drivability issue. At 26%, the throttle would blip. And I replaced the throttle body, and I did some work on the Infinity ECU, and I actually didn't get it much better by the end of that video. Well, since then, I have figured out what the problem was, and now that problem is gone, so I want to show that to you guys. All right, so I'm going to try to do this the lazy way and do it with my camera, just because I guess right now I'm feeling lazy. So I've got the ignition turned on, so the Infinity ECU is up and running. The engine's not running, but we don't need it running for this. So I've got the Infinity tuner pulled up, and I've got a special screen that I made here with special gauges. And what I have here is this one right here is my accelerator pedal position, and this is measuring exactly what my throttle pedal is doing. And then this one here is the target, and this is what the Infinity ECU actually wants it to be. And then this one here is the it's the throttle position of the actual throttle body. So this is the actual position of the throttle body. And you can see when I hit the pedal, they all move in unison for the most part. So if I go up to the top here and start logging, it's a little bit easier to see what's going on here. So now, as I hit the throttle, go up to full throttle, if you see some flashing, that's because I've got my dash set up. I've got the LEDs on top of the dash set up to track the throttle for now. So this right now is tracking my throttle. And we can see here, these are all tracking just fine as well. And if we remember, right around 26% is where the throttle body transitions. And if you look at these two, the target and the throttle body, right around 26, you might see this one, the throttle body, jump a little tiny bit. It's barely noticeable at this point. And if you look on the graph, right around 26, it doesn't even bobble anymore. And if you remember in the other video, at 26, you'd see a spike. Well, that spike is gone. It's completely gone. Because 26 would be right there. You can see that little tiny bopple right there. That's it. But that's so minor. That's not a drivability issue at all. So I'll show you real quick. I'm not going to go into detail. I'll show you real quick what I did there. Let me stop my log and then go back to live data. So again, I've got this drive-by-wire bias table, and the drive-by-wire bias, I don't even know what it is enough to tell you exactly what it is, but it tells the drive-by-wire, it gives it a bias to fight against the spring tension, because when the throttle body's moving, it's always fighting a spring. And the bias tells it how hard to fight the spring. And I had that set up way too high. So what was happening is at 26%, when it would transition from one spring to the other spring, when it would pass that, the first thing it would do is the spring would overpower it, because I was telling the bias too high to try and like overcompensate for the spring. And I learned about this from somebody commenting in that video. I don't remember your name, but if you're watching this, you'll know who you are, and thank you. So what I ended up doing is actually turning the bias down so that it's not so much fighting the spring, as when it hits the spring and it goes off target, then the PID loop kicks in. And again, all of this stuff is happening at the speed of light, so we don't even really see it. But then the PID loop kicks in and tells it to pull harder to fight the spring. And that was the difference. I can tell you, when you spend the time tinkering with it and collecting knowledge, watching videos, comments, and then you finally put the pieces together and you find out what the problem was and you solve it, it's awesome. Like such a knowledge base then of your own vehicle, like an intimate knowledge, and just, it just makes you feel good. I guess that's the moral of the story. So anyway, item number 3 is that I fixed the drive-by-wire the drive-by-wire drivability issue. That's completely gone. I've tested it. I can drive it around the neighborhood. The throttle is just butter smooth. You don't even feel that 26% transition when it's driving on the road. So that was awesome. All right, now we're at item number 4. This one is really exciting because it opens up a lot for Ratchet. If you watch some of the earlier videos, remember when I found out that Ratchet doesn't fit on my trailer? Well, he does now. When I tried to put Ratchet onto the trailer, I found out that the rear end was a little bit too wide to fit between the axles on the trailer. So there was several options that I was looking at to get it to fit. And what I ended up going with is just jacking him up as high as he can go until he's at full droop, and then putting some spacers in there to hold him in that position. Because he's A-arm suspension in the rear, when he gets jacked up to full droop, the rear tires actually get pulled in a little bit, and I only needed to come in like 3.5 inches in order to clear, and as it turns out, that was enough. So I'm going to show you how I jack it up, how I hold it up, and then I'll show you how it fits on the trailer. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Those are the 4 updates. I came back from my little test, what do you call that, a test trailer, and I changed my straps a little bit just to make them a little bit more secure, and I had to tighten a bolt, but other than that, everything went well, and I think tomorrow I'm hopefully going to bring Ratchet to the off-road park. If I do, obviously I'll have some video footage for that, so that should be fun and exciting. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Hope it's helping you guys with whatever you're working on, and I hope to see you on the next video. Take care.